Ladies and gentlemen, I've got 7 o'clock straight up. At this time, we'll go ahead and bring our meeting to order. If you will, please ensure that your cell phones are in the silent position. We'll go ahead and officially bring our meeting to order. Ms. James, would you please call the roll of the City Council?
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem James Whitmore.
Present.
Honorable Ulysses J. Smallwood.
Present.
Honorable Linda J. Davis.
Present.
Honorable Alex Heath.
Present.
Honorable Samantha Hudson.
Present.
Honorable Hattie Portis Jones.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. At this time, if everyone can, would you please stand for an invocation? Thank you.
If you would please bow with me. Father, we come before you with our heads bowed and our hearts humbled, grateful for the blessing of another day. Father, as we gather this evening to conduct the business of the city, we ask that everything we do be first and foremost pleasing and acceptable in your sight, in the best interest of those that we serve and to help those in our community. Father, continue to be with our first responders as they put their lives on the line to protect us. Be with them each and every day and bring them back safely at the end of their duties. Bless our efforts to move this city forward in a way that is productive for all concerned. It is in your Son's name that we offer this prayer. As everyone that agreed said, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We don't have any proclamations, so at this time, members of council, you have the printed agenda before you. Can I entertain a motion to adopt the city council agenda?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. At this time, we'll go to public comment. 30 minutes shall be available for public comment. Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes. However, the speaker may transfer his or her 3 minutes to another person. No speaker shall be permitted to speak for more than 6. In this case, we have 10 speakers, so each speaker will actually now be limited to 2 minutes, and no speaker may speak for more than 4 minutes. Issues raised at this time are generally referred to the city administrator for review. Responses will be provided at a later date. Ms. James, would you call our first speaker?
And Mr. Mayor, we only have 8. 2 of them withdrew their names, so you all had answered their questions.
Okay,
We
so
only have 8 speakers now.
speaker, so we're now back at the 3 minute. 3 minute.
First speaker is Delana Bukowski.
Oh, I didn't sign up to speak. I was just signing up on here. I'll give my 3 minutes to whoever needs it.
Okay.
I'll take it back at the end, I guess.
The next speaker is James Botley.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Come
sir.
on, please come to the mic.
Good evening, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Evening.
My name is James Bott. I'm a Durham Lakes resident.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to bring up an issue of customer service. Maybe the city manager can handle this for me. So I've been here for about 5 years, and I find it very frustrating when I call a particular department. I don't want to try to throw nobody under the bus. And I take the time, listen to the greeting, and I leave a voice message, and no one returns the call. So I would ask the city manager to talk to the departments and say if a citizen calls, let's get back to them within 24 hours. Other than that, I'm just here to see what's going on.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll get back with you. You'll get a response, sir.
Excuse me?
You'll get a written response about today.
Yeah, he'll get back, yeah, all right.
Okay? Thank you.
The next speaker is Honey Williams.
Ms. Williams, please come forward.
That's unusual. I always get my calls returned. I might need to help you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here not to complain, but to compliment you all. You see my T-shirt, Sensational Seniors. I don't know why they didn't put fabulous as well. I want to thank you all for funding all the things that you do for us. I'm a retired teacher. I could never draw, but I was always creative. Every month, our calendar is filled with activities. No Alex, no canning, no quilting. But if you get enough people who are interested,
Yes.
I'm sure that can be taken care of. I'm at the center 3 to 4 times a week with the different activities.
Okay.
Bingo, painting, aerobics. I do yoga on Monday, every Monday.
Wow.
And it's a bunch of other people. Aerobics, jewelry making, CPR. No cooking lessons yet, but we did get blessed with learning to make that I already knew. The charcuterie board, that's very popular. I want you to see some of my paintings. Can you see what it says?
Oh, nice.
Now, I did that one last year. I did this one this week. We have professional people that come to us, and they make it so simple. Right here.
Oh,
It's-
my goodness.
Believe it or not, draw a circle. Here, I had to draw a backwards C in order to get this done. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. Beautiful colors.
There's line dancing in the summer. There's water aerobics twice a week. The only thing that we have to pay for, and that's not bad. It's just $2 for an old girl like me. And all the other people that come
Yes.
enjoy it like I do. Last Thursday, if that was the 1st of February, we got a surprise. We get that a lot, of surprises. And we went out to Decatur to the Porter Stanford Community and Fine Arts Place. I've been there before, but I had never been in the auditorium. The auditorium holds 500 people.
Thank you so much for your comment.
I'm using her time.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Reset the clock. Good.
That's good.
Go ahead.
Knows
Continue.
I'm a talker, but I just want to share this one with
Continue.
you.
You said 3 minutes.
You good?
Oh, good. We went to a play, Motown Review. You would have loved it. Every song that came out of Motown,
Wow.
we were seated. Some were seated, some were up dancing, some was up out singing, and the cast were, the youngest member was 9 years old. He'd been with the production. There's a summer camp that they do. He's been dancing and singing ever since he was 4 years old.
Wow.
They did Stevie Wonder, all of the Motown people, you know them just like I do, that I can't remember now, but I knew every song and every
Yeah.
artist. So I just wanted to share that with you and thank you all for what you do here in the city of Fairburn. I've been in Fairburn, I think Sergeant Basilio, how long I've been in Fairburn? When I got the water, he remembered, and I go, maybe 17 years. I love it. I really, really do. I love what you do for us, with us. And I want you to keep the good work up. And I'm going to be seated.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Next speaker.
Next speaker,
Thank you.
These are my friends, I forgot to let you know. Carolyn and Penelope. These are my best. I'm trying to get them to come to the center, but they said they didn't have the correct agendas, but I'm gonna work.
You might not want to tell them that we're your friends.
the next speaker is Vera Racklin.
Ms. Racklin, come on up. Yes,
Good
ma'am.
evening.
Here to pay a compliment and to state a concern. I want to thank the mayor and the council, and a special thanks goes out to Chapin, I forget her last name, Scott, I think.
Scott,
now, and Ms. Davis in her office for what they've done to bring the Youth City Council to fruition.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see young people find out how the city works, and also for them to have an opportunity to have leadership positions. We need to groom our kids so that Fairburn will continue to grow, and they won't all run off to some other city. My concern, I know that since I've been working with Sir Charles neighbors and Pinehurst neighbors, that we have been concerned about the sidewalks. And I know that Mrs. Malone, who's also on Sir Charles, and I sent letters to Mr. Phillips and to the mayor and the council about the sidewalks that are not along Campbellton. We had a neighbor who was killed. It's been almost 2 years ago now. And I understood at the time that there was no money in the budget for sidewalks because the contingency was spent on some other things that had to be taken care of from the last administration. I understand that now, but just looking back through my notes, and I've only been here 18 years, I noticed that this has come up in our group meetings several times, and Mrs. Malone has been here longer than I have. And it's come up, she said, for 14 years. Could I please have the city consider in its future budgets, if not this time, I know your budget is done, that you would put sidewalks along Campbellton. We have young people that walk down to St. John's subdivision. We have people that walk to the store back and forth, and our neighbor was killed because he was in the habit of taking his bike down to the store on Broad Street and back every evening after work. I have an elderly neighbor who wanted me to bring this up tonight. She was driving during the recent rainstorms, and there were some kids coming along that curve by Elder and Strickland, and she almost ran over them. The trees are thick along that area. There's a narrow path. There is no sight line for the drivers as they come around the curve. Please consider taking care of this, because we would hate to have a child killed or another adult, another resident from Fairburn just because we don't have sidewalks. I know that before when we talked about this, that the money you had was already tagged for lightning. I understand that you have to spend the money the way that the money's supposed to go. But consider putting money into that end of Campbellton, because it's direly needed. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Greg Sanders.
Sims, come on up.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor, distinguished councilpersons, staff, management, and neighbors. First of all, I don't want to exacerbate the situation because first, I'd like to commend you first. You guys have done a great job in Fairburn. I've been in Fairburn myself over 20 years, so I commend you for everything that's being done and what's in process. But I had to come up here because I have a concern. I saw Ludacris perform with Usher at the Super Bowl. I didn't expect for that to be my reaction when I opened my electric bill. So when I looked at the last 3 months, and here I'm a person now, I'm single, recently divorced, used to live in Durham Lakes. I used to have over 5,000 square foot home. I'm in 2,400 square feet now. Wow. I've never had a $425 bill at all, ever, with 3 boys, you know, busy life. Now, I just work, I'm back and forth. My bill, 9/2 to 10/2, was $161. Next bill, 10/2 to 11/1, was $180. The last bill was 11/1 to 12/1, was $224. My bill, which I didn't even see the details for, was $425.64. So again, I'm not sure how this happened. I hope somebody can give me an explanation. I'd even like to help be part of that process and explaining this to a number of neighbors that I'm sure have the same concern.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Shamina Jackson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Council, Council men and women. My name is Shamina Jackson. I'm representing the Magnolia subdivision. I'm a little nervous of public speaking, but bear with me, please. I'm also going to piggyback on the gentleman before me regarding the concern about our exorbitant amount of rates on the electricity bill. Unlike this gentleman, I have a family of 4 with a 2,100 square foot home, and it went from $300 to $600. And that's on a high month. And the bill that we just received, that's from $600, we had maybe 1 or 2 days in December because it was the December 1st to the 31st bill of under 30-degree weather. And so we are pretty consistent and pretty diligent in keeping our bills and maintaining a budget. I've gone back 5 years, and I've never gone above a $400 electricity bill. And my electric portion of this bill alone was $400. So it's raised a concern for myself and several of my community members in the Magnolias of Fairburn. I've also been here for 20 years, and I've just never seen as such. I did get a written response from Mr. Phillips, which basically explained the 8% increase, but I just don't see where the 8% has come in. It's just more than doubled my bill, and for some of my neighbors, it's over $600 and for a family of 3. So I'm not sure. And in Mr. Phillips' response, I really didn't get a sense of understanding my perspective or where myself and, like I said, a number of my community members really stand. He did point out that there was assistance given to the public, but it's not that I needed assistance when it was given during the 4th quarter. It's now we need some solutions on how or why, like the gentleman before me said, our bills have jumped so drastically, seemingly overnight. Oh, okay. So that's just our concern. Any other points? Urge you to understand the gravity of the situation and working towards finding clear, attainable, and immediate solutions for us, because a lot of us, with the economy, we haven't changed jobs, we haven't gotten paid more, but it just seems like everything is swelling around us. And I love my community, and just like everyone else has spoken, I love what you guys are doing in Fairburn. I love the activities, I love the involvement, I love what you've done with the park. However, I want to stay. I don't want to have to go because I can't afford to pay my utility bill. So thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Angela McDowell.
Good evening.
I am Angie McDowell, Magnolias as well. Oh, okay, I'm Angie McDowell from Magnolias as well, the treasurer, and pretty much ditto to what Mr. Gregg and Shamina has said as well. There were several of our residents that could not make it out this evening that asked me to just kind of share the same thing that they've talked about. And I guess another thing that concerns me is that we have an older community with several people that are on, I guess, fixed incomes, if you will. And that concerns me as well, for a bill to jump from maybe $250 to $455. Mine was $441 this month. Normally it runs $250. So, I guess one question would be, if it's been, I think it was like 8 to 9 years since an increase, or whatever that specific year is, why have we had to wait so long for an increase and then dump it all on us at one time, I guess, would be another question. And if this company is the only company that we can use for the electrical, would be another question. But outside of that, it's just, It's not that I can't pay it, but it's, it's a bit much to just double on something that you could be doing something else with. I just want it to be reconsidered, to look at it again, because pretty much all of us have the same concern. And I love Fairburn as well. I love what you guys are doing. I appreciate you because everybody don't step up. I know for one, because like I said, I'm the treasurer in the subdivision, and we ask people to step up when you got concerns for the positions. Nobody raised their hand and want to do anything. So I appreciate you all being in the positions that you are and doing what you do for us. But just reconsider, look at that, and give us some feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Monica Madden.
Good evening.
So I am another resident of the Magnolias. Still, in support of you guys, but we're not in support of the exorbitant utility bill. Mine last month was $235. Mind you, now I spent the week in the Bahamas, and I worked during the day. So this month it was $411. The utility part was $123 last month. The the electricity part now is $279. Because I'm a teacher, I'm gone from 7:30 to about 5 or 6 o'clock, so I'm not understanding why the bill is so high. And I maintain about a 60-degree average in the house, so I'm concerned as well as to why I feel like I'm about to pay a car note when I don't have one. So that's just my concern. I want you guys to look at it, continue doing what you're doing, but make it reasonable for us to live here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's the last speaker.
No, that was the last one? Okay. No, sir, unfortunately, that's why we have to maintain order within 30. I apologize for that. And so in this case, what we'll do, our next order of business, members of council, is approval of the city council minutes for the meeting that commenced on January the 22nd, 2024. Members of council, you have before you the minutes for the city council meeting that commenced on January the 22nd, 2024. Is there a motion?
Second.
A motion has been made and properly second. Any corrections or comments from council?
Let's see.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. At this time, we'll go to our first agenda item.
First item on the agenda is the appointment of the city clerk. Mayor Avery would like to appoint Brenda James, the city clerk, for the year of 2024.
Members of council, you've heard the item read from the city clerk for the appointment of the city clerk. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Smallwood. Second.
Please note all the so moves, please. We all moved.
The motion made by Mr. Smallwood and second by Mr. Heath. All in favor, any questions or comments by council?
Yeah.
Just want to say thank you for all of your help in getting me onboarded and working through the nuances of being new. And I thank you. You have been a great help and support to me, and I'm grateful that you are coming back.
Ditto.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments by council? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. At this time, I'm going to go to council comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. City Manager. Let me yield to you first for a minute.
Good evening, Mayor and council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have been addressing our utility rate concerns, as you know, for an extended period of time. And because this is the first set of bills that have gone out under the new rate increase, I had asked the mayor to allow me a few moments just to try to provide some clarity about how we got here and where we are as of today. So in December, as you may recall, the council approved a utility rate increase, and as one of our citizens referenced, this was actually the first utility rate increase in actually over 11 years. Yep. What's important about that is the source of power. All cities that provide utilities have to have a source of power. And for most cities in the state, it's from the Municipal Electric Authority of Georgia, typically referred to as MEAG. MEAG is somewhat similar to Georgia Power. They are an organization that's a nonprofit, statewide generation and transmission organization that cities who provide utilities purchase power from MEAG. The cost for power over those 11 years I just talked about has consistently, like everything else, groceries, gasoline, increased over that period of time. When we brought that item before council, as you may recall, it was because particularly in our electric fund, our enterprise fund, we were actually operating at a deficit, meaning we were spending more for power, the city was, than we were bringing in bill payments. That, unfortunately, isn't sustainable. You can't operate a utility that is losing money year over year. I want to be very clear. I have a wife and a family. All of us on the staff pay bills. Every time these issues come up, I know all of our council members are extremely sensitive to the fact that any increase is a challenge for people who have to pay bills. And we are very clear-minded about that, and we try to take a very deliberate approach about how we do this. But if we're losing money, that has to be addressed. The first step we did was, before undertaking any rate efforts, is we commissioned 2 independent third parties, Electric Cities of Georgia and Lindsay Engineering, to do independent rate studies, to look at our rates, look at the revenues, look at what we're paying for power, and come back to us, and they did work session presentations, as you may recall, to show us what was an appropriate way to go about correcting the imbalance we had in our utility fund. We didn't try to correct it all in 1 year. Had we done that, the rate increase would have been untenable. It would have been in the neighborhood of 25 to 30%. That was just never a consideration because we understood what impact that would have. Where we settled was, from those rate studies, was an 8% increase in year 1. That's 8% to the revenues that the city would increase. So in other words, that's an additional 8% each year in our revenues. That still doesn't get us to black. We're still losing money. The next year it goes down to 6%. The third year it's at 6%. The fourth year it goes down to 5%. So we tried to gradually build in those rate increases so that it wouldn't be sticker shock to our residents. With that said, it is an increase. And so there's no way to avoid the increase. Now, the 8% to our revenues in year 1 averages out for the average homeowner to 10 to 11% increase on your bill. So you hear people come tonight and go, well, mine went up by $200. There are other factors that go into the bill calculation. Not only is it the rate, as most of us understand, it's also your usage. In any city that provides utilities, and in fact with Georgia Power, the highest monthly bills are always in the peak of the winter and in the peak of the summer. If I set my thermostat at 68 degrees and I don't touch it, and it's 67 degrees outside, my unit doesn't have to work very hard to maintain the house temperature. In the middle of the winter, if I leave my thermostat at 68 degrees, even if it's not freezing, if it's at 42, 47, 38, the unit runs more to maintain that same 68 degrees. And so as a homeowner, I'm thinking, well, I didn't move my thermostat. Why is my bill going up? Because to maintain a consistent temperature, when the temperature outside is colder, your unit will run more. There are other things that go into your utility bill: space heaters, other appliances, things of that nature, water heaters, lighting, refrigerators, your washer and your dryer, an electric oven, your dishwasher. All of those things add into the utility bill as well. You can look at not only Fairburn, but any other city that provides utilities or Georgia Power, and you will see the highest monthly bills in the peak of the winter and in the peak of the summer. And so it is typical that those bills are higher, and it's normally due to those seasonal impacts. No one in Fairburn on this council approved a 100% increase in utility rates. That is not what was approved. That is not what we implemented. We understand that people's bills are higher at this time of the year, but I want to be very clear that that was not solely because we raised rates and everybody's bill jumped by $200. On average, a 10% increase on a $200 bill is $20. Right? Now, I get it, and I know bills are higher than that. It's those other factors that oftentimes play into that. Since the bills have gone, as you might imagine, we've got a lot of calls in our utility department, and anyone who's had a challenging bill, I welcome you to please contact utilities. They will walk through a bill analysis with you. They will look at your usage for the last several months. They will look at your usage from last winter at the same time to see is there a discrepancy or an anomaly. In those instances so far, when we've looked at people's utility bills, the most common factor for a higher bill is usage, not the rate. And so, again, we're sensitive to it. We understand that anytime we increase rates, it's going to impact what we call kitchen table concerns because people have to pay bills. And so we try to be thoughtful about this. MEAG is the source of power for 59 cities in Georgia that provide utilities. It's not just Fairburn. College Park, all of our neighbors all have the same source. And our rates typically compare reasonably to Georgia Power. If you kind of watch the news, it seems at least once, sometimes twice a year, Georgia Power goes to the Public Service Commissioner for another rate increase. It's part of providing utilities. And so we will try to manage this as best we can to keep the impacts as low as we can. Those seasonal high bills, we hope, and in most instances, begin to moderate as we move into spring. And typically people see their bills start to moderate. It will peak again in the middle of the summer because when it's 98 degrees outside, the same thing happens with your air conditioning. People tend to run it more, or even if you leave your thermostat, as I mentioned earlier, at the same setting, at a higher temperature, that unit has to work more and pull more electricity to equal the same ambient temperature. So we will continue to try to provide information. We did do $250,000 of utility assistance in the fourth quarter. We do work with as many nonprofit agencies as we can to provide other resources for utility assistance. There are lists on our website. We will point people to every resource we're aware of to try to help with utility assistance payments because we understand that there is an impact. And so we're doing everything we can to try to get through this necessity as reasonably as we can, recognizing that it has real impacts to our residents and trying our best to make sure that we manage this in a reasonable fashion.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Well, I'll go to council comments. I'll start with Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, I just want to, again, commend staff on the presentation during the work session for the Small Business Grant Program. As you know, that there are a lot of businesses out there that have applied and will use those funds accordingly. And we also have some others out there that have been staple business owners for some years here that hopefully they'll come in and do the same. Ms. James, you have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and you show that every time I have a conversation with you. So I'm happy and glad that you're still with us and you have no intentions of going anywhere. And in reference to the electric bill, in my community, I'm with Greystone, and I will admit that my bill has gone up with Greystone as well, and I'm trying to manage it the best I can. I do recall on one of the trips to San Diego, I believe with NLC, and I went to a incubator, and within that incubator, they put something together that showed various ways to assist the home to be more sustainable energy-wise. And it would be a good idea, and I believe we have something like that within our utility department, Mr. City Administrator, where we talk about age windows, drafts, filters, and all those things that will assist to help maintain both in the winter and the summer. But if our that department can also start putting some things together, that can be mighty helpful for a lot of our residents. Okay, thank you. Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
Last thing I wanted to say is congratulations on your award for the Mayor of Fairburn. For those that have not seen our legal organ, and actually, I'll let him talk about who he took a picture with. I won't even mention that, so a little bit jealous. But he was pretty sharp in his black tuxedo, so he represented us well. So I just want to congratulate you, Mayor. Well deserved, sir. That I yield, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Hattie Porter Jones?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd ask if at all possible, the comments that I made during the work session about the Small Business Grant Program, could those be included as my comments for the council meeting? I'd appreciate that, rather than repeating myself. So thank you for that. And then I wanted to talk about the electric rates and the sticker shock that, quite frankly, we've all received, irrespective of your power source. Electricity has gone up everywhere, and we're all paying higher rates for it because delivery of power has gone up. As was mentioned by Mr. Phillips, this body did approve the rate increase at our December meeting. It's something that we have been talking about really for the past year, year and a half. And as I said then, and said several times, we were at the point where we had no choice. As was mentioned, we had not had a rate increase for 11 years, and even then, it was inadequate. That preceded me, but nonetheless, that rate increase was inadequate because of we didn't want to bear the brunt of what we're hearing tonight, the numerous comments that came from the citizens because of the rate increase. Citizens, I want you to know that this was not done lightly. That we talked about it often and tried to explore various ways in order to implement this increase. But this is what happens when that decision gets pushed down, the can gets pushed down the road, as they say, which is an old political term, right? Because folks don't want to deal with the politics of one of those tough decisions that you have to make. But here we are. Now, me personally, I didn't want the 8% increase. I proposed something less than that, but, you know, the data supported the level that brought forth. At the time, we also discussed if we're going to have a rate increase, we also need to do some things to help our residents with this, with the high cost. We talked about implementing budget billing, and I understand that we have that, but obviously many of our residents have not taken advantage of that. So I am asking our administrator to do more communication with that and share that with the resident and share with them how that will help to moderate the rate increase. Because as Mr. Phillips said, we have a high increase when it's cold, and we have a very high increase when it's very hot. Budget billing will help to average that out over the year's time. And so that, I believe, would be very helpful. I also talked about, and I've mentioned this before, that we, because we are a utility provider, that we need to be doing some things as a provider, like Georgia Power, like Greystone, to help our citizens. And that, for example, Greystone has a program, what they call Operation Roundup. And that program allows those who can pay, if your bill is $1.50, that you are willing to round up your bill to $2 so that the 50 cents can go into a fund to help our less fortunate citizens. We should also look at a discount specifically for our seniors, those who are on fixed income. And so I'm asking that we explore that as well. And then lastly, and I have a whole list of ideas, but I think we need to be doing a lot more in terms of energy efficiency programs, that we should be helping our residents with energy efficient thermostats. We should be helping with energy audits. We should be partnering with various different nonprofits and other programs to help with home insulation. So there are a lot of options out there that are available that we just got to decide that we as a city will embark upon those programs and share those with our residents. And so I look forward to us working together in implementing those to help with the bills. I want to say thank you to all of the residents, though, who did come and express your concerns. I heard from a lot of residents as well. I received phone calls, I received texts, I received email. But I knew this was coming, right? Because it is a sticker shock. But that is one of those things that we just had to do. But by the same token, we can do those things to help moderate the huge increase. And I want to let you know that we have begun those discussions and that we will be working diligently to implement those programs over the next year or two. Thank you, Mayor. Oh, well, lastly, I just want to say, again, congratulations, Mayor, on receiving the award. Okay, that picture, my picture is out there. That's because I was the last person there when you received the award, okay? Let's just be real about that. I don't want people to misunderstand anything, okay? But it was a fantastic award, and the mayor is in good company with people like Felicia Rashad, excuse me, with people like Glenn Thurman, okay? So, yes, so that is a big deal. But he received the award, but it was the city of Fairburn that benefited from that acknowledgement and that recognition. So, congratulations to us, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Hudson, you're here.
Oh, okay. So with the rate increase, I do agree with the residents. I think for me, I would have liked to see a more proactive approach with knowing that the shock and awe will come with the rate increase. We have all the resources in place. I think where we can do better is fill in those gaps to make sure that when we launch, that we're ready to serve our community overall. And so I'm with you guys on that because I'm still in the shock and awe too about this utility bill I got to pay. I received several communications around infrastructure concerns. Gillette Road, pothole repair, I understand that that's an ongoing situation. They fix the potholes come back. But however, this taxpayer was very adamant that something long-term needs to be done to make sure that they have safe passage to and through. I also received a phone call from the principal of Global Impact, who is trying to learn about how sidewalks can be installed. This is a safety concern where residents are concerned about students who are crossing over into their private yards as cut-throughs for school. And so these are some of the things that are coming up. And the principal had to directly have this conversation with the resident. Of course, I'm sure that was a very uncomfortable conversation. And so if there's something that we as a city have onus to installing these sidewalks, if nothing for safety purposes, I would like to see that happen as well. I also received communication around the senior rate, receiving that rate and knowing how to apply for the rate. I think a solution could be is to post this information inside the newsletter because some have said that once they got the shock and awe, they can't afford to pay this amount. How do I apply for the rate? And just in communication purposes. And so I also would like to raise a question on the process. Maybe my peers or the city administrator can answer this question on obtaining information, records information from department heads. Of course, on January the 22nd, I received communication back from a request of information that I asked for regarding our SOP policies for the police department. I asked for copies of all pending, all complaints that were filed with the city of Fairburn within the last 3 years, as well as our response to those complaints. I asked for a list of the staffing and a organizational chart. I received back the response that I was very disappointed with, and we can settle that today. One of the things that I want to be clear about in my role is that the citizens of Fairburn elected me to do this job. And to do this job, it takes a wealth of research to read and review our procedures and looking at what's good, looking at what we can keep, and looking at recommendations that we can utilize to make input and impact for our city. And so what I'm also concerned about is not having that process clear, because the response that I got back, I took offense to this response. One, being a taxpayer here and having an email responding back to me in quoting references and excerpts of the charter as if somewhere I violated a rule was totally inappropriate. And as well as the use of this coming from our city attorney and our city administrator. I'm a taxpayer in the city. And I need it to be very clear that when I'm asking for information, I'm not asking amiss. I'm asking this with all fairness. My peers have this information. They're up to speed. They've been here longer than I have been here. And so asking for this information is my right. And I will not allow my tax dollar to be weaponized against me in exercising that right. And so, Mayor, I congratulate you on your award that you got. And so I know as a Diamond Award recipient, you're going to make sure that this is addressed appropriately as well. The next thing that I would like to ask for is that I receive a copy of, and thank you, Mayor, for responding to my email about the budget. But what I am going to be specific in asking for is the Mayor Budget Expense Report and the Budget Expense Report for all funds. So that's clear in what it is that I'm asking for. I do know that I have access to the budget that is online. And in reference to how we communicate with charter, how we communicate with the language, and since we are quoting excerpts of the charter, I found it very useful that we have in place in our charter a board of ethics to be installed by this board here. And then section 2-35, letter I, A, B, and C, it outlines that the city of Fairburn has a way to adopt this. It's already adopted. I strongly will advise that we begin to, as a council, to look at that and putting a board of ethics in place. It helps with limiting liability of our city. It also gives us a second review of the work that we're doing. And I believe that that's all I have at this point. I just want to ask, when can I be expecting to get this information that I requested? And also, one more thing. It is not acceptable to use my name to access open records without my request. I did not make a request for open records. My request went into an email. My request was respectful. It wasn't off or out of sight. And so we have now entered into a space where initiating an open records request that I did not ask for is an ethical issue. And thank you all. I started training, so I'm on my way. Thank you.
Okay, next is Ms. Davis.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of acknowledgements that I would like to make, but I do want to say something in reference to the utility bills. I completely understand every person that came up to speak. I thank you for your authenticity. You have come to the source, which is here. I appreciate your concern and you coming forth to speak in reference to the utility rates. And that's the city of Fairburn. I'm with Greystone. Greystone rates kind of went up a little bit as well. I think probably all the providers did. I actually had Greystone come out and do an audit at my house. And one of the things that it was wonderful how, and I think maybe somehow we can utilize that here in the city of Fairburn as an educational piece. They actually had the temperature of the weather of each day that bill included. And some of those days were extremely low. The temperature was extremely cold. I have a heat pump, and I don't have all the knowledge of a heat pump, but what I do know with a heat pump is that, and my house was built in 1977. I've been here for 28 years in the city of Fairburn. Is that the weather here has gotten colder than it has been 28 years ago. And with a heat pump was put in to actually help mitigate large bills. We weren't going into 15 degrees and 28 degrees and 25 degrees. You know what I'm saying? 28 years ago, 1977. So I had to take that in consideration. And Greystone showed graphically the weather during those days of my bill. And I was like, okay. And a heat pump, when it goes below 32, it may go to emergency heat. And I pay attention to that because then I change the the degrees. So a couple of things. If we have a weatherization, the federal government, we have that on our website, right? There's a particular income that you have to get this, where the federal government will pay someone to come into your home and weatherize that home. It's income-based. You have to fill out an application. We still have that on the website, Mayor, Administrator Phillips?
Yes.
We do?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So there's an income attached to it. And you will not have to pay any money. Because sometimes we may have leaks and, windows and all that stuff. So we need to pay attention to that. I think another thing that we need to do or offer to our citizens as an educational piece, Mr. Phillips and Ms. Chris, is how does it affect the cost of your electric bill if you're changing your thermostat often and not leaving it at a regular temperature, and how that affects the usage and the hard usage of your appliance? Because sometimes we can modify it, go up and down. I used to do that, and I'll go up and down, and I think that prohibited it. The other thing is closing doors off or cutting off vents in different rooms, thinking you're going to save and conserve. That actually causes your appliance to work harder and longer because it's designed, somehow it's designed. It's not my forte, but I listen to things that comes on the news on how to mitigate a higher cost of electricity. So I don't know what all we can do, but let's try to come up with some of these educational sessions or, you see what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of things that we don't know. Right. What are we doing? We're thinking we're trying to conserve and save dollars. Everybody in here wants to save dollars because everything is up. And what we're doing to save dollars may be increasing the dollars because we don't know how. Okay, so I'm going to get off of that. I really appreciate what you all have come and said to us. And as my colleague, Councilwoman Portis Jones, it was a difficult choice for us to do it. But we cannot run a city in a deficit way. So our hearts go out to you. You're not the only ones dealing with it. I'm dealing with it. You know, and I'm going to deal with Greystone to see if they can have some kind of program there where they can facilitate people that are on fixed incomes. Now, acknowledgements. I have a couple of acknowledgements that I want to mention. I want to say congrats to Director Abernathy and her team for the Georgia Main Street publication naming the city of Fairburn Main Street of the Month. Yes. I mean, that is awesome. Because we haven't had Main Street that long, have we? You know, so that is amazing. The other thing I want to do, and Director Scott is not here, first of all, I want to thank the mayor for understanding the importance of this, and this has been on, I've been an advocate for this ever since I've been on council, is to have our youth council. I've been advocating for this from 2018, you know, and it is, 2 years in Mayor Avery's and our administration, you know, being here in the city of Fairburn, and you've made it come to fruition. I attended the orientation last Wednesday night, and I was excited. We're working with Arrow, and they are the tops of the tops when it comes to our youth, and getting them to know and providing information and taking them different places where they can see, because, well, I'm going to admit it. I'm getting old. I mean, you know, I'm not going to mention. I'll speak for myself. But we need youth to get involved in becoming elected officials. You know, not only council, but mayor, governor. You know, all of that. And we have to provide that cushion for them in an educational way. And this youth council, I've got the program, all the things that they're going to do. And I was just beaming like crazy. Miss Ragland was there because I know she is an advocate for the youth and everything else in the city of Fairburn, and we appreciate her participation and everything. And I'm moving along, Mayor. The other thing, I would like to acknowledge one of my colleagues. I sit on the board of the Georgia Municipal Training Board, and one of our colleagues, Mr. Whitmore, has garnered, through his training, more than 204 hours, and he obtained the Certificate of Distinction at our United Cities. Our United Cities Summit in January, and I would just like to congratulate you. And as a board member, you know, I get information on hours and stuff, and the city of Fairburn is in probably the top 5 of council members that go to class, all different classes that's given, so that we can do our jobs to benefit our city and our citizens. So again, congratulations. I also want to congratulate again our mayor for this Diamond Award. I was not able to make it, but I saw the pictures and everybody looked really nice that was there and represented the city very well. Let's see, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir, thank you. Mr. Smallwood?
All right, seems like it's been said, you know, when you go 6th or 5th, so so ditto to all that. But I will say thank the citizens for coming out, because talk about sticker shock. I had shock up here when y'all were telling me the prices, because I too have Greystone, and while it has gone up, it hasn't gone up like that. All right, so that's
That's quite an increase, although, yes, we did, as a council, came to a very hard decision of, increasing this, and like Councilwoman Portis Jones, her big thing was why all of a sudden? But, not why all of a sudden, but, all of those years never doing it, because I'm a husband, father, myself, so I know it's like a household. I mean, you get that type of increase coming to your house, it's quite a shock with everything else that's going on, that's going up. So I thank you all, because you still came in a cordial manner and not tearing things up. So I applaud you all for that because it's serious.
Unfortunately, sir, public comment is already over with, sir. I'm sorry. We'll let you, and sir, we'll have you to speak with the city manager as soon as this meeting is over with.
Yes,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Continue, sir.
Yes, and so that's why I'm making these comments right now, because it is serious. So I do ask our city administrator, I think we all spoke about that, strategic ways, the budget billing. We need to do everything we can do as it relates to trying to help our citizens with this. That spill you gave, that informational you gave was very, very good. So just like Councilmember Hudson said, as far as being proactive, that could go on the website. And like I say, with these type of things, we need to get in front of it, because as educators, I'm an educator as well, we need to get in front of things and educate our public about, what was coming or is coming and the things that we can do. I learned a lot with you just saying that right there, so those are the type of things we need to actually just blow up our communication and put out there, so that, they will know proactively. Congratulations to all of these educated council persons. Congratulations, Councilmember Whitmore, as well as Mayor. Congratulations. You are rubbing shoulders with some great people out there, so congratulations. But yes, just thank you all. Like I said, I don't have anything else besides that, because that seemed to take precedent over everything, that our residents are experiencing that type of sticker shock to that utility bill. That's all I have.
Yes, sir. Mr. Heath?
Yes. I just want to thank everyone for coming out. And here again, I've lived here in Fairburn 73 years and a few months. But the thing of it is that this city is out for you folks. I'm talking about doing things to bring things in here for entertainment, as well as having many other things. But getting to the power bill is something that I think that they've neglected to talk about. Has anyone ever heard of Plant Vogel? No? Well, Plant Vogel is where they just built stacks 3 and 4, multi-billion-dollar deal, and MEAG was a part of it. I think they wound up selling something like $60 million to Georgia Power for a partial amount of the funding to finish it up. And so it just went online. So with that, the debt was not necessarily focused until this point, as to when they were starting to produce power and stuff like that. So I do understand, and most people that are in business do understand that when you have business expenses such as that, and then like I say, it was a multi-billion-dollar loans and stuff that they had to get from the government and everywhere else, and so therefore to re-get the monies back, to pay those payments and stuff like that, they had to go up on the rate. 8%, it didn't sound like much when I first got it, but when I got my first bill, I was like y'all, I was in shock. I said, this can't be. 8%. 8% of $100 is $8, correct? Mm-hmm. So if you have $300 or $400, I mean, like I say, that's should be $35, $40 more or something in that range. But the way they calculate it,
We ain't.
Live on up.
Did we pay our bill?
yeah,
Send on, man.
we pay our bill. You're exactly right. But the thing of it is that we as council people, we try to look out for you because we live here too. We try to do everything we can to make sure that it's convenient for you and all. And but unfortunately, some of our funds that we were using that was supposed to be funds that could go into the general fund were actually being pulled out of the general fund to take care of that 11 years that we didn't have a rate increase. So I just hope that y'all understand that we are not here to throw more and more expense at you and this, that, and the other, but it's just a simple fact that when cost of the, like I say, Plant Vogel 3 and 4 was dropped on us, it not only went to this city, but it went to Union City, I believe, was a Georgia Power, but Palmetto, Fairburn, College Park.
Oh, man.
I think Hateville involved in that. Yep. There's 28 cities, isn't it correct, that are involved with the MEAG. So I hope you understand that it's just not us that had the rate increase, but it's about 28 other cities are suffering the same thing. And we try to keep it down as much as possible and spread it out over a longer period of time so that, you know, it's not to where you can't pay it as much as if we had to do it all at one time. So that was the great part of it. But I understand because, like I say, I got the bill, and I said, huh. So I started at Walmart working part-time to help pay the power bill. So, like I say, I just appreciate your concern, and I'm so glad to see that you did come and confront us to tell us how you feel. So many times, you know, you hear, well, this neighbor talked to that neighbor, and then the next thing you know, it's all blown up out of proportion. And I'm just glad y'all came and you can hear exactly what's supposed to have been done. And getting back to James and the mayor, I just am so thankful that y'all got your awards. And I know that y'all have put in a lot of work. I know I'm within 32 hours of being at the very top at the National League of Cities. And I think it's 24 hours GMA. So I'll be at the top level. So at any rate, it's taken 14 years to get to where I'm at. I've been on the council that long. So it's been 2 more years. My wife has already told me, you need to think you're running again. I said, well, we'll see. So you never know what's going to happen. Stay tuned. But at any rate, thank y'all so much for coming, and I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Members of the public, again, thank you so much for coming, expressing your concerns. As the city administrator, we did get various emails throughout the city, and again, Mr. You've heard of all the different issues that went into creating this scenario. It wasn't just a big decision, just decide to increase your rate. Mr. Heath, I want to thank you for actually bringing up an area that probably I hadn't even thought about again. That was the impact of Vogel 3 and 4. Actually, it's been a major impact because for a lot of folk that don't understand, the city of Fairburn buys power from MEAG, who buys it a big lump sum, but impacts from Georgia Power, impacts to Plant Vogel and along with other areas. But one of the things too, even just as a confirmation of what all the various council members have talked about, this wasn't a light decision. Some of the decisions in light of understanding that this was coming, decisions between the utility assistance, tax exemption increase, small business grant, all the different things that we were trying to think of in terms of how do we lower monthly costs for every resident if possible. So a lot of decision went into it. Again, I ask that you be patient with us as we look at efforts right now to how to address this issue. But again, more money going out than coming in. My wife's a business owner, so I don't know any business that don't understand that you can't stay in business long term with that type of output. So again, this was a decision that had to be made. I want to also thank all the people, all the council members that were able to come, and several that expressed interest to come, but the schedule or whatever could not facilitate. I just want to say thank you. The Diamond Award that was received, again, I'm really thankful to the Lord for it, but that's a reflection of the entire government. You actually heard one of our residents, several of our residents talk about the services from utility to police, whatever like that. All that Diamond Award is a reflection of the entire government. And so I'm very thankful, again, for being a recipient of that. I want to also thank Ms. Honey. I want to thank you for coming up talking about the senior services. You've heard members of the public, you've heard me talk about for at least for over a year and a half now, asking our residents, would you please go take advantage of our senior services that this Department of Recreation, Ms. Scott has done just a phenomenal job, along with Mr. James Berry and their staff. They're doing a phenomenal job in terms of making sure they keep not just our youth, but in this case, a lot of our seniors involved. There's a lot of programs that I'm begging you, please tell your people, please tell your neighbors, and please tell your parents. And there's a lot. I think Ms. Honey mentioned to me, a lot of our seniors are not living in Fairburn are coming and taking advantage of what we're paying for. So I'm asking you, please take advantage of these services. The council expressed in great detail during the budget season how this was a priority for them. Yeah. The entire council did. And so I'm asking you, please help us service, bring the people so we can continue to serve them. And then, again, one of the other areas that are very heavy, what you heard mentioned, Ms. Davis mentioned the Fairburn Youth Council. Again, a program I've seen. I want to actually, the very first time I actually seen it done was actually at the City of Atlanta, Mayor Bill Campbell, and that's been some years ago in 1996 when I worked for him. That was a very powerful program, and I've actually seen former Commissioner Bill Edwards, I believe, that did it at the commissioner level. So it's very productive and it's very impactful. So again, I just want to say thank you so much. We do have an executive session, Mr. City Attorney, for a personnel matter. But before we go into executive session, I just want to ask the people of the public, would you continue to pray for the families and pray for our local schools, our public schools? Some of the killing and shooting that just happened at Tri-Cities and easily could have happened here at Global Impact or Creekside. And so I'm asking you, please, we say this publicly, we're going to pray for them. I'm just going to ask you, please pray for your schools, because there's got to be a hard situation and know that you're sending your kid to school and don't know if the kid's going to come home because of situation that just took place. Yeah. That's got to be just a nightmare feeling to even think about that. And so, I mean, my heart goes out for the parent, as I saw on TV, talking about the loss of her child. So I'm just asking us as we continue to pray and stand behind our city officials, but at the same time, pray for our parents that have children in public and private schools. So with that being said, members of council, I'd like to entertain a motion to go in executive section for a personnel matter.
So move.
Second.
Motion is made and properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Have a great night. regular meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay,
Now, can she restate her motion? 5 new positions, you changed it at the end for only.
5 new positions in the enterprise fund for utility departments for the electric division, water sewer division, and utility administration.
ready? Members of council, you have before you the item that the city clerk is going to read.
5 new positions in the enterprise fund for electric, water, and sewer, and utility administration. Did you get, I wasn't speaking in this. Okay. 5 new positions for the enterprise, from the enterprise fund for electric, water, and sewage, and utility administration.
Somebody said so moved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smallwood. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion carries.
Jesus, be offense.